We are live. So welcome everybody to meeting 3 of the Informational Advisory Committee. I believe we're waiting on just one member. Yes, but let's get going here. It's 4:06. And unfortunately, Lynn today is really not feeling well, came down with something a couple hours ago, and sends his regrets, but I will be facilitating for this week with, of course, the support of Tiffany. Thanks in advance, Tiffany. So let's get started with some updates, welcome and updates. We do have one main update for you all this week, is that unfortunately over the last week, Shannon Kramer with the Rotary Club needed to withdraw participation from this committee. So we were in touch with her last week, sorting that out, finalized at the end of last week, and had to go back to the list of folks who were initially nominated in Shannon's category to see if we could find a replacement for her on the committee in short notice. So thankfully, Alana Sullivan, who's here with us today with North Bay Organizing Project, was willing to hop in very late in the game. We spoke this morning, and thank you so much, Alana, for being here today on short notice with us. So being that we are on the committee, I think I'd like to invite everybody to have a round of introductions, just to reintroduce ourselves, and let's go. I could say your name. Actually, no, let's start with Alana. Maybe you could say a little bit about coming into this role, and then we'll do just a brief background for everybody else, saying names and organizations.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, there might be somebody on mute that needs to be muted.
Yeah, I was going to point that out actually before I pass it over. I think I'm hearing a little bit of background noise from Marion and from Jerry. Okay, you got it, Jerry. Marion, would you mind going on mute? Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. Over to you.
Yeah, just hi, my name is Alana. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an organizer here in Petaluma with the North Bay Organizing Project. I'm a co-chair for the task force here in Petaluma. We're really excited to be a part of this process. I'm also, I could throw a stone over at the Fairgrounds over there, so really near and dear to my heart. So we're really grateful to be here with you all. Yeah, that's me.
Perfect, thank you. And let's do a quick round, name, organization, stakeholder category, if you've got it on the top of your head. And first on my screen, it's Hector. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Hector. I am born and raised in Petaluma. I am a manager at Play Dog Play, and I am representing the people in the Fairgrounds. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Onita?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Onita Pellegrini. I'm the CEO for the Petaluma Area Chamber of Commerce. The category was business organizations. And I guess that fits to a T.
Thank you. Ingrid?
Good afternoon, Ingrid Alverde. I am the Director of Economic Development and Open Government for the City of Petaluma. I am representing the City of Petaluma.
Thank you. Jerry?
Hi, Jerry Wilkinson. I'm representing Active Transportation, and I'm with Petaluma Wheelmen, and I'm on the PBAC Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Christy?
Hi, I'm Christy Hubacher. I'm the CEO of the Sonoma Marin Fairgrounds, the 4th District Agricultural Association, and I am representing the fair.
Thanks, Christy. Katie?
I'm Katie Lundy. I teach second grade at Liberty School, and I'm representing the educators.
Diana.
I'm Diana Spalding. I'm the branch manager at the Petaluma Library, and I'm representing the neighbors.
Thank you, Kim.
My name is Kim Aronson. I'm an agriculture teacher at Petaluma High School, and I am representing the agricultural community.
Thank you, Marion.
I'm Marion Walker. I've lived in Petaluma for 34 years. I'm representing the Black, Latino, Indigenous people of color, and LGBTQ community. I guess that's it.
Thank you. Anna.
Hi, my name is Ana Cordova Belic, and I'm on the Human Services nonprofit.
Thank you. Let's see, John, are you with us?
Hi, my name is John Gamley. I'm with Petaluma National Little League. I'm the president of the board there, and I'm representing the families, youth, age-friendly, and recreation groups, stakeholders.
Thank you, John. And Anne, are you able to speak yet, or are you still just listening mode? Okay. I think Anne was driving, so no problem, Anne. Maybe you could introduce yourself in the chat when you're back in your, or somewhere stationary and on video. Alrighty. Thank you all. Oh, and Tiffany, apologies.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, and I am an intern with Healthy Democracy.
Yeah. Thanks, Tiffany. All right, thank you all so much for the warm welcome, and Shannon sends her regrets that she can't be here this week, and so we'll keep moving forward and being as flexible as we can be as things come up, as they do. Which actually pertains to kind of our first order of business here. Given that change, I'd like to start out by talking a little bit about what we had planned for today, the prioritization process of our initial introductory presenters to the panel, and suggest a slight amendment to our agenda, which would allow a little bit more flexibility, given that we've had this turnover in the last week, and would allow hopefully Alana to be fully participate in the brainstorm and have time to kind of fully participate in the voting and prioritization process. So what we're suggesting is that we move forward as planned today with using the ranking sheet that Tiffany sent out right before this meeting to get a straw poll. Everybody can cast their initial votes on presenters that have been brainstormed thus far. We'll use that as a mechanism. I see your hand, Katie. I'll come to you in one moment. We'll use that as a mechanism to start seeing who on that list is coalescing the most support from this committee. We'll take a break, we'll come back, we'll be able to see that in ranked order. And then we'll have most of the meeting or the other half of the meeting for deliberation. So via discussion, we can lock in some of those introductory presenters that have the most support from this committee. The slight change that we're proposing today is that instead of locking in every single introductory presenter today, that we just extend this process through the first half of next meeting. So we'll lock in around half maybe today, and then leave some space for additional nominations from others, maybe maybe folks who've been on the committee want to make slight revisions to their nominations, we'll come back to that process of deliberation at the beginning of next week's meeting and then finalize our list. So let me stop there and go to Katie.
Maybe I misunderstood at our last meeting, but I thought we were supposed to get the ranking sheet, so we actually had time to process and think through everybody's suggestions, so it's not right on the spot. And then we decided that the cutoff was going to be Friday for all of us, and I understand that, you know, with Shannon's exit, we have to allow more time, but now you're saying everyone can have more time again. So I can see with, you know, Alana needs more time because she just got here, but if we're going to make a decision and vote on it last week, why would we all be adding? And I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean that everyone would have more time. I think this is really so that Alana has a little bit of time to not just turn around nominations within the same day. And anyone else, because of the deliberation that will happen today, there might just be some clarity that folks choose to add to their presenter nominations. So if you nominated a type, maybe after today's discussion, you want to nominate an individual. So I'm not seeing this as adding really a lot of, adding much to that list, but there might be small tweaks that can happen that then make our voting process next week a little bit easier.
So yes, the adding, or no, because you kind of skirted around that. So we're not adding, if you didn't give a name, you can give a name in a category, or we're adding. I just need you to be clear on that.
Okay, thank you. Not adding any new entities. Yeah, that's my thought. Kim. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, before you go, Kim, I didn't address your first question, Katie, and that was, or your first concern. The intention, and I hope this was clear for others, was that response sheet that we were looking at last week, that had all of the nominations auto-populating from the nomination form. So the hope was that you all would take a look at that list, review the names prior to today's meeting. If that didn't happen, or if that was unclear for any reason, this kind of amendment to the agenda, to our timeline, would also allow some more flexibility for folks to do their research between now and next week, or have some conversation about, you know, any confusion with nominees today. Let's go to Kim.
Thank you. Also in the email that we received, it is indicated that we'll receive an invitation to edit our sheets. Has that invitation to edit our sheet been sent? Because I don't have it, if it has been sent. And any changes or alterations I'd like to make to my original list can't happen until I have that. And I'm just curious where we are on that. Because frankly, I have not had time to look at the Google Sheet in its entirety at this point, to really come to the table and say yes, no, or otherwise on the people that are listed.
Okay, that's really good to know. And I'll look to Tiffany for confirmation of the sheet invitations.
Yeah, and the invitations did not go out. I mean, I didn't get one either, just to say it was just one.
Yes, the invitations did go out. And I sent them to the emails that you all had listed in your original intake process. Let me just double check over them real quick just to make sure all of them are correct. And I will get back to you in just a moment on that, okay?
Throwing it out there, I didn't receive it either.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany, for checking on that.
For what it's worth, I didn't think I received it. It wasn't in my email list, but then when I searched your name, Tiffany Couch, it showed up. Weird.
Yeah, I received a spreadsheet that I can edit and vote on.
And I too received it just about 3 minutes before the meeting started.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's give Tiffany a moment to just look at that behind the scenes. And let's go to a couple other questions from Jerry. And then.
Yeah, Yeah, thank you. I do have something that I can edit, it's got 4 choices, but it is, I feel significantly different from the Google sheet that we had. There are names on there that I did not see on the initial one. So it is a bit confusing in that aspect.
Yeah, so this will look different than the sheet last week because we extended the deadline for folks to nominate presenters through last Friday. And then the only formatting change, the reason why the list might be in a different order is that Tiffany and I went through, and any duplicate names or duplicate organizations, we just moved those together, and that'll be our first step in the process right now, is just seeing if we want to eliminate any of those duplicates. Totally up to the committee, but does that help, Jerry? Oh, okay, you were muted.
That's fine.
Great. And then Diane, did you? Oh.
Yeah, I clicked on the original link in the email from Tiffany that I did get that wasn't an invitation. And I went to that document and I marked about 100 items and then they didn't save. So I guess that wasn't the right document to update. But I think the confusion is not everybody's official email is a Gmail account, right? So my Petaluma Library email is dspalding@sonomalibrary.org. It's not Gmail. So I know it seems in the private sector like everybody in the world uses Gmail, but in the government sector, that's not true.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's an important flag. So can I see a show of hands? I also just dropped the ranking sheet that we'll be using today in the chat. And I'm actually going to go to Tiffany for any update, and then I'd love to know who is having a hard time accessing that, and we can do some troubleshooting. So Tiffany, any updates?
Yeah, so it looks like everyone is at least listed to have access to their each individual sheets. I believe it was Onita that said that she just got it a few minutes ago. So it does seem like there might have been a little bit of a delay on it. But someone else did mention that once they searched my name, it came up. So I would also recommend giving that a try, possibly.
Okay. And I hear, okay, perfect. Kim?
So I did that and searched Tiffany's name, and I still only have the original email that was sent, and I see the sheet, the master sheet. And maybe I'm misunderstanding, but when I click on my name on the tab, which is actually not my name on the tab, it's a different family in Sebastopol. The information on my tab and the sheet is the same as everyone else's. Is it supposed to present in that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do we add people? How do we refine our names?
Yeah. So let's maybe, I'll go to Christy and Marian just if there are additional clarifying questions for getting into the sheet. I think I want to take a couple steps back. I want to make sure everyone has access, and then I'll go through the whole process that we'll be following for this initial prioritization. So just any clarifying questions or tech questions from Christy first.
Yeah, just coming back to what Diana was saying, I don't have a Gmail. I think that might be a problem. I think we, state or county. So do you need us to provide a Gmail? Just let me know. I have a personal one, but it's not showing up. I tried searching Tiffany's name and I tried refreshing a couple times. So yeah, it might just be the lack of Gmail.
Okay. Have you received?
This is John.
Hi, this is Onita. I don't have a Gmail account either. Like I said, I got it just 3 minutes before the meeting started, but I do not have a Gmail account either. So not
So-
sure what that adds to it, but
I think the real question here, you shouldn't need, in my understanding, a Gmail account to fill out, to edit the form that we've sent, to edit the sheet. So Christy and anyone else who isn't seeing that email, would you mind going in the chat and following the link that I dropped just a few minutes ago and seeing if you can pull it up? And if this doesn't work, we won't dwell on it too much longer. We'll have a conversation, which will be equally useful for this meeting, and then we'll figure out another tech solution. But I don't think that you should need a Gmail account to do what we're asking folks to do today. So everybody who's having an issue, go to that link in the chat. I'll go to Marion for another question.
And I think I'm good now. There seems to be, obviously it's been reorganized, the sheet, because it's not the same sheet that I saw over the weekend when I looked at it.
Yeah, so it's been the only way we've reordered things was just to put duplicate names or duplicate organizations together, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Everything else we have not changed one single bit from the list that was created from you all.
So I got an email and it looks like it has all of the suggested people on there, so I assume I'm good.
All right. Yes, Alana, sorry, other than your additions. Actually, let me check on that. Tiffany, would you mind double checking that the response form is that all the names, including ones that were submitted by Alana this afternoon, are in our ranking sheet?
Yes, Alana's names that she submitted today are in it as well.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, so I see Katie's hand, and let's do one more question, and then I would love to see just confirmation that folks are in the spreadsheet. I'm seeing also some chats, so I'll get to those, but Katie.
Oh, I just put it in the chat, but so is the only major change, I know you put them all together, that our names were taken out?
Yeah, so let's, I think this is a good transition over to, let me share my screen with the ranking sheet here, and I think we'll start to clarify for some folks what our goals are today and what has been amended slightly here. Not amended, but moved around a tiny bit. So when you open up the sheet, and actually, as I go over this, can anybody who's still having trouble editing this sheet put a note in the chat? And Tiffany, would you mind responding to those or trying to do a little bit of tech support to whatever extent you're able in the background?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing there might be an issue with them saving too, and I'm not sure what that might be attributable to. Okay, so here's our list, and this list was, everybody can navigate over to, at the bottom here, there's this, let's see, I'll start from the beginning. The first tab you'll see is the summary sheet. So this is where, once you all have cast your votes, all of your numbers will appear here. And under the group total column, there will be a tally, a sum of kind of the numerical value of your votes. So a recommend vote is equivalent to 4, or sorry, 3. A support vote is equivalent to 2, tolerate 1, cannot support -1. And that will tally here. And this is essentially the sheet that will enable us to see everybody in the list of, ranked by support from this committee. In order to do that voting process, everybody has their own tab in the sheet. So Tiffany has set this up beautifully. So grateful for her spreadsheet wizardry over the last week. This is Marion's tab, has an identical to the group results sheet, a list of nominees organization, and why it's important to hear from this person, which was the text added by the nominator, and then can check a box for any of those 4 votes, and it calculates the score.
So can I ask a quick clarifying question on this? Now I find that sheet, but I can't click the box, nothing happens. So am I not?
I'm having the same issue.
Permission? You're having the same issue, Chrissy? Or I'm sorry.
Ingrid. Yeah.
Ingrid, you're having the same issue? Yeah, so trying to check it doesn't do anything, right?
Right.
Yeah. So maybe I don't have permission.
And have you confirmed that you are in the right sheet down here?
Yes, I did do that. Thank you.
Okay. Tiffany, any idea what might be happening there with the checkbox function?
Yes, this is Onita. I don't have that function either. And I'm in my sheet.
Okay.
I don't know if this helps, but there's a lock symbol on the tab.
Yes, I just noticed that also on mine.
Yeah, the lock symbol is supposed to be locked so that only you can edit it. Let me go in and double check that I have all the emails for all of them correct, just to make sure.
Tiffany, do you want me to supply you with a Gmail account?
Yeah, if you do have a Gmail account, anyone
Okay.
having issues getting access, go ahead and send that to me and I can resend the link to your Gmail.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Let's go to Jerry, and then I want to finish just kind of orienting people to the sheet.
Thank you. So I believe I have the sheet. I see all the names down below. I do have a lock symbol on mine. However, I filled mine out. You had mentioned that there is a total tabulation area that I could see the total votes. Is that correct? Where is that?
So that will only populate once everybody has cast their votes.
Okay. And I need not worry that I have the little lock symbol on there. Everything else seems fine.
I figured out mine, and I can tell you what happened. I looked up at the top right, like there's a little bubble that says who you are when you're on this, and I was on it automatically opened up my Gmail account, but I'm included in the list that Tiffany had under my work email. So I had to switch. I had to like change. If you click on that little circle at the top of your, like on the one that you're sharing where there's an A. Yeah, I clicked on that and then I was able to switch to my other self, and now I can edit it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ingrid. I'm seeing some applause from Alana too. That might have answered a couple of people's question. Excellent.
Thank you for the technical support. Would have been great if we had done this, like, I don't know, previous to this meeting.
I agree. I apologize for not anticipating the challenge with Google Drive. Yeah, and I know if Lynn were here, he probably would have had the answer quicker than I am because he's much better at the tech side of things than I did. Okay, Marion, you've had your hand up for a moment, and let's, I think.
Yeah, I see the master sheet, but I don't see the area where I'm supposed to vote.
Okay, so if you go down to the bottom toolbar,
Okay.
are you seeing, so on my screen, you can see where my cursor is. You should be able to scroll left or right and then find your name. Your name is actually, I think, the first one. So once you click that tab, then you'll see the sheet for your editing.
Still not seeing it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, do you see the group results tab here? Or actually,
Yeah, I do see that.
okay. Let's, I'm gonna make a proposal. I do recognize that we're losing quite a bit of time with tech challenges, which I know is to a certain extent unavoidable in Zoom. But I think I might have an idea to do both things at once, kind of let folks start their prioritization, which is an individual task anyway. And then anyone who's having tech challenges, we can make breakout rooms and we can go into a room, Tiffany or myself with you, and then troubleshoot anything we need to troubleshoot at that point. We just don't want to eat up everybody's time with too much more kind of tech management. Does that sound all right to you, Katie, who just raised your hand?
It's a totally different question than tech.
Different, okay.
It's about the sheet itself.
Okay, all right.
And the layout.
Okay, so let me keep just orienting us to the sheet and then see if you still have that question afterwards. So the last thing I wanted to point out here is that the last tab, so if you scroll through everybody's names using that right arrow here, you'll find a tab that Tiffany named original noms, original nominations. And this is kind of exactly what was included in the sheet that we looked at last week. So it includes the timestamp when each presenter was suggested using that Google form and who each presenter was nominated by. And of course, name, organization, and why it's important to hear from that person. What Tiffany and I did prior to this meeting was just identify if there were any exact duplicates in terms of organization or presenter name. So we did no other categorization of similar kinds of speakers. We just wanted to see if there were any duplicates, you know, just like this, Kiwanis Club, Kiwanis Club. Now, maybe you all decide that, you know, Katie had in mind a completely different person from the Kiwanis Club than Michael Lind, and both nominators want to keep their nominees there, and we vote on those as two different entities. That's completely fine. But we also wanted to make sure that folks aren't casting duplicate votes. So the first step in this process was to invite anybody who, you know, sees that they nominated someone that another member of this committee nominated, give folks an opportunity to rescind anyone on this list that they think has been covered by another committee member. That doesn't necessarily get to duplicate content. So there are kind of two ways that we'll deal with any duplication on this list. The first is that process. The second is once we're in that deliberative phase of talking through who those initial presenters should be, there will be an opportunity for you all to say, hey, you know, we think this person from Petaluma FFA might be presenting very similar information to this other person. You know, would it be wise if we have, you know, 12 presenter slots to just as a committee decide we'll go with one or the other? So there will be space for that in discussion rather than kind of numerical voting. Okay, we've got a few more questions about the sheet. Let's continue with those, and then we'll open up the kind of quiet time for, or I'm sorry, we'll do this duplication process that I just mentioned. Let's go to Katie.
I noticed on the group sheet, you have all of our names so that all of our scores show up, and then you said something about being individual. So I just wondered on the group tally sheet why there isn't just a group total. So you would rather not see people's? Well, I just think if it's, you know, if it's private and you're voting and you have your reasons, and, you know, I don't want anyone to get offended over seeing that I might have ranked, you know, somebody one way or the other. I would just like to see the group total just out of, I think that's the most fair.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very fair request.
And how many presenter slots are there? You said you would tell us today.
Yeah, yeah. So our proposal is, as Lynn mentioned, there's flexibility in this, but our proposal is 12 presenters for that initial weekend. Yeah. So I heard a request to perhaps just hide the individual tally columns in the group results sheet. Is anybody opposed to making that move? I think that would be easy to do. Okay, great. Tiffany, would you mind hiding those columns for individuals in the group results?
The only issue with that is that if we hide the columns, then it won't calculate the numbers that are in the columns that are hidden.
I see. That's right. We talked about that.
Could you just blank out the names without hiding the columns?
Can we fill those with you know, a black? I think you can just fill the cell with black.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Thank you. Okay, Onita.
I still cannot make any marks on this. I don't know if that is because I don't have a Gmail account, but I do not have a Gmail account to give you.
Okay, all right. So let's save any other kind of technical difficulties for Tiffany, and I will make sure you have what you need in breakout rooms in just a moment when we start the prioritization. So Anna, any questions about?
Thank you. I have a question. Or I've noticed there are a lot of people from Petaluma City. And so if we only have 12 spaces, I'm just thinking, you know, they might take most of the spaces because they are the one who have, I guess, the experience, or they have the knowledge how everything runs. So what's the point of doing this? So I'm thinking, if it is 12 spaces, can it be 12 people from this list? And then, okay, 12 people from Petaluma City, or as an assistant, or a combination of 1 and 1 or something. Because otherwise, I think it's going to be a lot of people from Petaluma City really are going to be the representatives. And I don't see the point of doing all of this if at the end, most of the Petaluma staff is going to be there.
Yeah,
I don't have nothing against that, but then what's the process?
great. Yeah, so that is an entirely, I think that kind of suggestion would be great for our deliberative process to lock in those speakers. So it's entirely up to you as a committee if there are any speakers from the city of Petaluma, and how many and what departments. So I think if you wouldn't mind holding on to that concern for when we're in that point in the process, Anna, I'd be grateful.
It'll depend on the votes before we even get to that point, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I think there's, just speaking from City of Petaluma, there's 3 entries for the same person.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to get to next. All right. Any other? I really want to move on to this first part of the process. Kim, is there something that needs to be said right now?
Well, I think as I look at our list, just for 4-H and FFA alone, there are 8 nominations.
Right.
Some of them are duplicates. So I guess I'm struggling with this idea of voting when there is so much overlap in the nominations. And I mentioned it in the chat about sort of distilling this list regarding my own personal nominations and entries into the sheet last week and the week before. And I would pull that, some of them, I guess, in favor of some others. So here we are starting to vote. People are already noting who they would like to hear from. And yet you could hear from 8 different individuals from the FFA and the 4-H and the UC Extension office. And they're all going to say the same thing. So having an opportunity, like I'm looking at Hector's nomination of Ryan Noggle. And Ryan is a lovely young man. He's our chapter president. He's super successful, can be dynamic, but I don't know that Ryan is the person to speak on behalf of the agriculture community's interests. So thinking about that, I think that the expert from the UC Extension office is Stephanie Larson. There are certainly other community 4-H and UC Extension volunteers that have a lot of historical context, but she's the expert about 4-H's role at the 4th District Agricultural Fair. So voting at this point seems a little premature to me because the list is so overlapping in some respects. And maybe we could talk about that before we vote and then have to hammer through things that should have been taken off in the first place.
So that is exactly what we're moving to next. That I'm trying to get us.
But there's people already voting. I think that's my comment is if you look at the changes in the columns, there are numbers ascribed to certain columns because people are already moving through the list.
Okay, thank you for that flag. Yes, can we please everybody engage in this conversation? The voting process has not started yet. I think I really want to go to what Kim just shared and begin to identify some of those duplicates. And that was kind of a perfect example of the format that I was imagining for this conversation. So rather than actually somewhat, the point of this consolidation process, I want to be anyone who seeks to, sorry, I'm not being very clear right now. Here's an easy example. There are 2 duplicate nominations for Heather Hines. In this case, Anne or Onita might say, get rid of my line. I'm fine going with line 8 as the nominated presenter here. And then we would move, if Onita said that, we would move Onita's language about why Heather should speak up into this line. So we're going to do some consolidation to make sure that nobody is casting duplicate votes. For any appeals, like you just made, Kim, kind of like, we have several presenters from FFA. I think this person is better suited to speak to the panel on this topic than this other person. That we can decide in the deliberation. So even if both of those people get a ton of support from the committee, then you'll be able to kind of decide between them after the prioritization happens. So no one will get locked in from that voting process alone. There will be discussion that comes later. Is that clear? Okay, great. So I think what I want to ask now is I'll just go through some duplicates that we saw. Kiwani's Club, some of these from the city may be duplicates, some have very specific departments. So we just clumped together any from the exact same organization. They might be all distinct. We don't know and aren't making that decision. There are several from FFA, 4-H. There were 2 people who nominated historians. There were police department nominations here, a few for the County Office of Emergency Services, Happy Hearts, Live Oak, Burbank Housing, Daily Acts, REP City Riders, Safe Streets. You begin to see quite a few duplicates. So I think what I want to ask now is just anybody who sees that they have nominated someone that's a duplicate, this is an opportunity now to take a nomination off of this list. Anne.
There are so many that I'm just wondering if we could, instead of looking for random requests, go systematically down the list and look at each set of duplications and have those who are knowledgeable about them speak. Because I really appreciate what Kim said. I don't have a clue who the right person is from FFA, and I'm so grateful that she does. So I would really love to do this more systematically rather than on a random, I'm going to raise my hand basis.
Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of thumbs up, so we'll go with that process. I kind of went back and forth and was thinking about time, but I think we're moving at the pace we need to move, so that's great. So Kiwanis, Christy and Katie, does either one of you want to speak to your nominations here?
Christy, if you have the name of a certain person, I didn't. I just wanted their club to be able to speak.
Hi, yeah, so Mitch Lind or Michael Lind, he runs a Kiwanis club. They get majority of their funding from our fair. They actually hold the liquor license for our fair, so they get the profits from the beer and wine sales. So obviously huge stake in the fairgrounds. They also are a nonprofit to our community that gives back those funds into our community. So I thought he would be a good person to talk to since they've been involved for, gosh, 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can take mine off since she has a direct name. They're the same thing.
Okay. Sounds good. And what I'm going to do, because I don't want to miss anybody's or lose anybody's language, so I just added that to Christy's line, and then we will just get rid of this line. All of this is archived for the record in that response sheet that we looked at last week, so no information is being lost. This was a duplicate. All right. Anyone who nominated folks from the city, is anybody seeing duplication here that should get removed?
I didn't nominate anyone from that part of the city because they're all related to planning. So I can just say that I think Heather Hines is the planning manager and would have the most information about planning and the fairgrounds. So I think there's one that doesn't have a name, but says City of Petaluma and talks about land use restrictions.
Yeah.
And that would be Heather. So,
So what you're saying is we could delete line 4, the current line 4, and we could delete either the current line 7 or 8.
Correct. And combine those all into one.
And she could answer the questions about the affordable housing and whatnot as well. Ingrid?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
So Kim, as line 4 here, does that work for you? Do you agree?
That's totally fine. I just would request that the topic be included in her presentation. The affordable housing question and the land use restrictions be items that she could address if she was selected to speak to the panel. I think we all have.
Is that in your notes?
It's
yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It is. Perfect. But if we could combine that into whichever nomination remains, I think all of those topics are going to be important to be addressed for residents and the city in general.
Okay, so I just combined your language here into line 7, and so I will delete yours. Marion, how do you?
I'm okay with consolidating it that way. My only issue, and we haven't gotten to it yet, will be, is this person capable of addressing the finance issues?
Okay.
That would be a different person.
Okay.
Who's on there? Corey Garbarolio is listed on there for finance director.
Okay. So Marion, I'm hearing confirmation that I copied your language over, and I'm good to delete your row here.
I think it's fine.
Okay, and just not the finance. I heard you want to keep that, just the planning department.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other duplication? Onita.
Yes, and you certainly put it, consolidating, it's the right move. I'm not married to having my name on there. I don't care. Put it wherever, but consolidate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any other consolidation needed for the city?
So there's one from Marion that says City of Petaluma Department of Finance, and then one from Ann that says Corey Garbarolio, Finance Director, and I think that could be one in the same also.
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right. So just since the name is in line 6 here, I will consolidate by moving Marion's language there. All right, thank you. Any others for the city?
Could the questions about infrastructure needs and legal constraints, could it be sort of a City of Petaluma group presentation? Because certainly Eric Danley would be able to help Heather with some of the land use restrictions and the legal constraints for the city with regard to the property. And I'm not sure how we would combine the needs in terms of infrastructure into that, but it feels as if that their window could be a panel of presenters to address multiple topics, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I should say that these, so the city and the Fair Board will have their own opportunities to address the decision-making context, the policy context, so how the panel's recommendations will be used, that, you know, talk about their decision-making process for planning questions like this. So this isn't the only opportunity that the city will have to discuss those sorts of legal constraints as well. And certainly if you recommended that 3 presenters be together on a panel, we could try to schedule in such a way that made that happen. Anne?
Well, I was just going to ask, my sense is that's a spot on comment, but I wanted to ask Ingrid her thoughts, because I think that it's probably true that most of the legal angles would relate to land use, and we probably wouldn't need Eric in addition to Heather. What did you think, Ingrid?
Yeah, well, since we're working on our 10-page summary, we've been talking about this a little bit, just trying to kind of get everything that we know about the fairgrounds, you know, kind of pulled together so that we can give good background. You know, I think we could do it several ways. I think Heather probably has the most history with land use. The only thing that's come up with legal that Heather probably wouldn't be able to speak to are some issues about how the fairgrounds were originally purchased and what limitations that may or may not create on the property. That I know has come up, and that I think would need the attorney. I think the others, it's just they're very focused issues. So it's really, you know, whether or not the panel feels like hearing from Public Works is you know, rates at the top. I defer to the group.
Just sort of a suggestion, because I did notice that, yeah, you nominated city legal and we nominated state legal. I think they're both important because there are legal questions that no one else can really answer but them. Maybe it would be beneficial to just not include them in the 12 presenter spots, but have them there attending the meeting to answer as questions come up for whoever's presenting. Just a thought.
Or maybe there could be a short section on just like, let's ask legal questions and have both attorneys there, because my guess is there are some questions that would be possibly answered differently by each attorney depending on the issue.
Yeah.
As happens in legal discussions. So that's an option too.
I just think it'd be good to, I feel like legal needs to be its own separate thing and not necessarily part of the 12 presenter groups.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very valid suggestion. And if the committee recommends that, let's table that thought until that final decision-making process, but I think we could accommodate that as a possibility for process design. Okay, well, looking at the time, let's, I think keep those distinct for now, slash, leave space for the conversation around legal later on in the process. And let's try to keep focused on just eliminating duplicates right now and consolidation. So let's move on to this next category. I'm seeing FFA and 4-H here.
So as the advisor for that organization, I work closely with the two individual students that are nominated. And I think it would be our preference, my department co-teacher and myself, that it just remain sort of generic and that Petaluma FFA be nominated as opposed to individual kids.
Those are, I think I nominated 14 and 15. Yes, I'll go. I could take those off and go with your recommendation.
Oh, I nominated 14 and 15.
Yeah, I think Hector is up here.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I will grab Hector's language from lines 9 and 10. Actually, is that useful, Hector? It looks like maybe this refers to the individual. Would you like that captured?
Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, would you like the specific language here captured in that nomination still?
Okay, yeah, because at one point I heard that maybe Stephanie Larson would be better for that position.
They're separate. Stephanie is an employee of UC Extension, so she runs the 4-H program in the county, and FFA is separate. They're separate entities doing different things.
Okay. Yes, I actually I found them just looking through some of the websites, and I seen I think Ryan was president and Emmy was vice president. It's the only reason I nominated them, because I thought it'd be nice to hear some young folks from the FFA.
Wow.
Right, well, I've just captured your initial language so it's not lost, and I heard, Hector, that you're withdrawing these two.
Yeah.
Would Kathleen, or Kimberly, sorry, if there is FFA, is it always a student, or are there, I know you said you were an advisor. Were you recommending having it just open-ended and having a student speak, or would you rather have an advisor speak?
We would probably tag team that, and my teaching partner would probably present with a student.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
He was actually nominated by Katie. So somewhere on the list is Jake Dunn. And he could be combined into the FFA component.
Okay. Okay, so
so we would keep Jake and get rid of the others, is what you're suggesting.
You can take 45 all the way out. You don't have to copy that.
Okay, all right.
I think you get it.
Okay, sounds good. Any other duplication in this section here?
It looks like is 4-H a separate thing? And then I heard Kimberly mention the UC Extension as being part of 4-H.
4-H functions through the UC Extension office in Santa Rosa. So UC Extension and 4-H they go hand in hand through the land grant college system. Anyway, I don't know, Katie, you nominated most of the folks there. And
I would like to do the same thing with FFA that Kim's doing, and I could put two other names in there and have a student representative and a leader would be fine. So that could combine into one, and then keep Stephanie on her own.
Okay, I'm hearing consolidating these three.
Yeah, and Shannon's too, because Shannon was above there and I talked to Shannon.
Okay.
So we have an FFA representative in 4-H, whether they come at the same time.
Okay. Fine. Which line would you like me to keep here?
You could keep Probably Karen Pulley is fine.
Okay.
I don't know if it matters.
And do you want the other information saved?
Probably, because I can't read it all right now on my screen. So just pop it in.
Great.
So the tweaks you're talking about making, you could change the name on there or add the student's name. Is that what you were talking about earlier?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that question? I'm not
When you
sure.
said we could tweak the sheet, like I could get an actual name in there of a kid that would come with Karen.
I think that's, yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm deleting these two and Shannon.
What if we say for FFA and 4-H, we say leader and student rep? Instead of the name.
Or you accept that, Katie? Or here?
Yes. Yeah, leader and student rep would be fine.
Okay. Great. All right. Moving down the list here. There was a question about whether this was a duplicate or not. I'm not sure that it is. There's a historian nominated here, and Hector requested a historian. So I will leave it completely up to you whether those are duplicate or not.
Yes, if we could find a better historian, I think also put down Mike Haley. I think he's a city council member that I seen an article he had in the August Courier, talked about some of the stuff.
I think he's on the list somewhere down the list a bit.
Okay, perfect.
It's on the list.
No.
Yeah, so we can take mine off there.
Okay. I will add it.
No.
Would need to add it to this other historian entry.
Yeah, just to clarify, Catherine Weinhardt is self-employed as a historian now, but formerly she was the head of the History and Genealogy Library for the county library system.
Thanks for clarifying that. Great. We have a few entries here for the police department. Would anyone like to withdraw their nomination here?
I'll make a suggestion, even though I nominated Sonoma County Department of Emergency Services. Having worked in most of the recent emergencies in the last 5 years, we work most closely with the state and the county when it comes to sheltering on the fairground. I think the police department is usually more involved in response. So I personally think it would, from an evacuation standpoint, probably Sonoma County Office of Emergency Services would be the most knowledgeable from that perspective.
Excuse me. I have a different issue or reason for wanting to hear from the police department than response or emergency services.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to affordable housing, one of the knocks on it tends to be that there's more crime associated with affordable housing. Now, we've had affordable housing built in Petaluma several times. The two that I'm most familiar with, I've been in and out of both of them. My wife's been in them in a professional manner, and I've seen no commensurate increase in crime associated with them. But the police department needs to address that issue so that people can feel comfortable about the idea of affordable housing, period.
Right, and that's separate from what I was saying. So I agree with you, Marion. I just noticed that a couple of the police department entries talked about evacuations.
Okay.
So let's just focus on maybe duplicates within these organizations, they should definitely at this point remain distinct nominations. We're not deciding between them. So would any, Katie, Marion, or Anna like to?
You can take mine off 13. I'm more concerned about the emergency services when I put that on there, and the sheriff would be under that Office of Emergency Services. But I agree, Marion's point should be, kept on there as a separate issue.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and you can take mine, and it's, as a department, not just as a person.
As a department. Okay.
Just throwing it out there while I'm thinking about it, we do host a it's called Night Out, and it's for police departments and first responders, and that could be a good event for the panel to come to as like a field trip, and they could talk to various organizations, not just the police, but police, fire department, and EMTs and such. That's in August. I'm not sure if that's too late.
That will be after the panel concludes its work. But thanks for that thought, Christy. Okay, let's move. Let's keep moving here, and if there are any duplicates still, it's okay. We'll come back to them.
You can remove 17 because it's duplicated.
Okay. Okay. Any other duplicates in emergency services, Kim or Katie?
You can, as long as the Office of Emergency Services is
Right.
represented, if you want to take mine out.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. Well, we will, okay, I'll just default to the one with more information here then, capture that language and
Excuse me, did I miss something? Why is 13? I'm seeing the police department up there twice. Now it's once. Marion. All right, thank you. No, it's twice. Police department and Jennifer Pritchard. Why is that up there twice?
yeah, I don't believe I heard definitively from Marion or Anna that they wanted to.
No, I
rescind.
said it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
said
said
it. Yeah, you can. Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, thanks, Anna. So you don't want your the person nominated captured, or would you?
No, it's fine. Take it out as long as the police or is representative and over that is there. So it's fine.
Okay. Actually, just for our ease of having a name to reach out to, I might just leave that in the descriptor here. Description. Okay. We'll take yours off. Thanks for that catch, Jerry. Okay, I'm seeing a couple for Happy Hearts Preschool here. Katie and Christy, would you like to go with just one of these?
Yeah, the owner's name is fine. I didn't have her name at the time.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Live Oak, Katie and Hector.
Same thing. Kristen and Chris were the people I reached out to.
Mhm.
So I don't know, Hector, how you feel, but they're the ones I've been speaking to.
Yes, I nominated the same ones.
So Katie, are you comfortable taking yours?
That's fine. As long as their names are in there, that's fine.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Burbank Housing, Anna and Marion.
Yeah. Why is that there?
Is Burbank Housing there? Is that your question?
Yeah, does Anna or Marion, would you like to
You can consolidate it.
consolidate? Marion, would you like to support the nomination of Mark Krug?
I don't know the gentleman, but it sounds fine to me if that's who she knows.
Okay. Daily acts. So Shannon, Kim, and Anne. It's like Shannon didn't recommend.
I see. Oh.
What's that?
So the Bailey Axe nomination came out of the meeting last week, I think, and Shannon hopped on there before I could type in. And I think any person from that organization would be valuable to hear from. I just know Dan is on the board and have a somewhat cordial, familiar relationship with him based on just some family connections. So I think anyone from the organization would be great. If we need a point person, Dan could certainly serve in that role.
I agree. I'm fine with leaving it up to the organization to decide who they'd like to represent them.
Right. So Anne, would you like me to consolidate into Kim's line here? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I think so. Since Shannon.
Yeah, but I was going to say, I think you could almost take out a name and just leave the organization.
Yes.
Okay. So it will be really helpful for us to have names to reach out to, at least as a starting place.
Sure, yeah, by all means keep track of them, but I'm just saying I'm not wedded to any particular representative.
Okay. Does that look good to you, Kim, for your nomination?
Yep, it looks great.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, I'm seeing RAP City Riders twice here, Katie or Christy.
You can go with Christie's because it has a name on it.
Okay. All right. Safe Streets. Jerry, are these distinct nominations? Totally fine if they are.
Yes, they are distinct.
Great, thank you. All right, we've got a couple for the Speedway.
Hey, again, if someone has a name, Christy, is that who you deal with? Is Matt Sharkey?
No, it's Rick Faith.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Matt Sharkey was hired by Rick to represent the, he's going to be he wants them to be the designated spokesperson for them. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So Katie, you're happy to
yes. Yes.
All right. Farmers Market. Looks like we might have a similar pattern here. Katie and Kim.
Yeah, I spoke to Kelly once on the phone and talking about the farmers markets in Petaluma. So that was the name I had to go with.
Yeah, Kelly does run the farmers markets, and they host one here in the fall.
Kim.
And I'm fine removing my nomination if Kelly is the point person for the folks that market their produce through the farmers markets.
All right. The Western Fairs Association, we have a few times here.
They look the same. It's just a matter of if the title's in there or not. Oh no, she's got in the description too. So it really doesn't matter to me which one stays.
I think Carol Ann would be interesting to hear from because she not only does the WFA, but all the security that she goes and does on the fairgrounds.
Well, so Carolyn and Sarah Cummings are definitely separate in what they can offer because Sarah Cummings is also a previous CEO of this fairgrounds.
Yep, that's what I was thinking, is to keep Sarah on and Carol Ann.
Okay,
that makes sense.
I heard a call to just consolidate 27 and 28. Katie, would you be all right consolidating your language here?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty, and I think we are to the end of the duplicates. So
there's another. Oh no, never mind. That was a very transparent process. Thank you very much, Alex.
You're welcome. Yeah. And I know that today's process changed quite a bit from our initial plan and our revised plan. And I want to acknowledge where we stand and make a plan together for really maximizing our time next week. I know Alana had some presenters for today that I was going to give her some time to speak to. But since it looks like we probably won't get to actually prioritizing the list today, we'll have to start that at the beginning of next week. Alana, I hope it's all right to save that until next week. That'll give you some more time as well. So just wanted to say that before going to your hand, but go for it.
I just wanted to say that there's more duplicates. I saw that the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria were done twice, I think, because I put a "the" in front of it, so they were split up. I also see that Kylea Frederick was nominated. Again, I think these are probably because I came in at the end, but we have her nominated twice as well.
Okay. Okay. Do you think that since we've kind of gone through this process now, Alana, would you, or let's just go there now, actually. Are there any that you'd like to just join with the initial nominator for, or ask someone to join your?
I'm not too sure who nominated Kylea. I would like to see her speak on behalf of the Climate Action Commission here in Petaluma. So if we can like consolidate that with really emphasis on the CAC. And yes, as long as we have representation from the Great Rancheria, I think that that's important. I put Greg Saris down, but that's probably not who we would have able to show up because I know they're inundated right now, but that is someone we could try to reach out to.
I see that Alana nominated Mecha from Casa Grande. Could we include Petaluma High School's bilingual student ambassadors? Or would that not be an appropriate match?
I think that's a question for you, Alana.
Sorry, I was looking for my unmute button. I think that overlap is okay.
Would you mind repeating that for me? What I should change here?
The organization at our school is the Bilingual Student Ambassadors.
And who is it?
Number 102.
Sorry, 102, line 102.
Okay. Oopsie. Sorry. Okay, like that? Okay, all right. Thanks for catching those additional.
It looks like there's 2 Japanese American citizens lead. Are those different or are those the same?
That just went in duplicate, it looks like.
Number 110 and 111.
Yeah,
that we get rid of one of those.
An exact duplicate. Okay. Okay.
And I think 115 also, because I'm from the McDowell Family Resource Center.
Sorry, say the line again that you're referring to, Anna.
I think, I don't know, erase the 115 McDowell Family Resource Center.
114.
Oh, I see.
115.
I see. And is that, were you nominated somewhere else on this list?
Not us, but we are together with Petaluma People Services, a nonprofit, and so it's.
Okay.
I nominated you all because I think it's important that we hear from the folks that you all serve. That's why we wanted to uplift you all specifically. We did think about Petaluma People Services as well as a nomination, but we really wanted to uplift the work that you all are doing there. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the North Bay Organizing Project on there twice? That there, I see it line 111 and I see it line 113. Are those separate individuals or portions of that organization that need to speak?
So I wonder, since we're pretty tight on time, and there might be just a few more duplicates from Alana's nominations. Alana, I wonder if I can work with you just to look at any duplicates that happened today. Would that be all right? Okay.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, great. Okay, I really want to have a moment to strategize for next week. So I'm going to ask that only kind of pressing, urgent comments come in right now, but I see Christy, Ann, and Diana's hands. So
Yeah.
Give space for anyone, and then Jerry as well.
Okay.
For final comments, Christy.
But yeah, just going down the list, I noticed, and I thought I had seen them on there before, but Redwood Empire Food Bank is missing, Red Cross is missing. I feel like those are important people to be considered. And I don't know if I'm just not seeing them, but I could have swore I saw them before and now I don't.
Okay. Well, we will go back and check to make sure that that nothing got lost. I don't think it would have. I know this is a long list, but thank you for that flag. We'll double check that. I think let's not take any more comments right now related to discussing presenters, so we can go to our plan for next week. So anything about, let's see, Anne, anything that needs to be said right now?
Sorry, I just want to reiterate that there are still lots of duplications thematically that don't show up by sorting on organization, and want to encourage you to look for those, not just with Alana's additions, but throughout. Again, like there's lots of dairy association and so forth. There's still things that kind of overlap the fairgrounds interests and so forth. So thank you.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out before this gets lost, I'm looking at my voting of what I had in there, and everything seems to have changed. So I'm trusting that will be all erased, and we will begin again with this new list.
Yeah, so let's, I'm sorry for any lost work, Jerry, but yeah, if I wasn't clear about that at the beginning, I think we really wanted to do this process before all of you voting. So I think based on where we are right now, it's important to us as process people to not get involved in identifying duplicate information. That will be completely up to you all, but that will come into the process after we've done this, casting of votes. Then, Anne, you can say, I think there are two different people who are going to speak to dairy. Can we as a committee just consolidate our support around one of them? So that'll happen next week. My ask of all of you this next week is to use this list. We'll send out this sheet again. We will also make a PDF of it, just in case there are any tech issues, so that you can see every single name and information here. And come to next week's meeting ready to, I think, right at 4, we'll start doing that prioritization process. And having the week gap will, again, allow a couple more nominations to come in from our newest member. And anybody who is having a challenge accessing the Google Sheet today, if you could write me and Tiffany and Lynn a note, and this will also give us some time to just ensure that everybody has the tech support that they need to do that voting process. Again, my apologies for any confusion there and for not clarifying sooner. I think we should all be able to do it without a problem. It might just take some phone calls and some trials over the next week, which we're more than happy to do with all of you. So please write me, give me a status report if you're still having a hard time accessing it or navigating the sheet, and we'll hop on the phone or a video call and do it together. Thank you all for your time. This process is very much directed by you all and what we need from week to week. And as long as we can meet that hard deadline of having presenters to begin scheduling for the panel, by next week. That is really the time urgency and sensitivity here, is wanting to start scheduling people for the May weekend. But I think we're still on track to do that. So thank you all so much for
Alex,
this
Chat
process.
questions?
I have a question. So I just looked at the version history of the document, and I would like some reassurance that that will remain available to us as we are having conversations outside of the regular meetings about duplicates and adds to the list. Since the committee will not be involved in that process, I would like access to the version history of the document first and foremost. And then I also wrote another question about consolidating organizations, and will that happen with or without committee input regarding organizations that are similar in nature? Will you make decisions about consolidating that without the feedback from the committee?
Absolutely not. No. So the absolute most we will do is put the two lines together with exact duplicate organizations. For this week, we didn't, have any say, and this organization covers similar content. We'll never get involved in that level of content. So all final decisions will be made by this committee. Does that help, Kim? Okay, great. Christy, I believe your hand is still up from earlier. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're ready to close out here.
Yeah, sorry, I just put it down.
Okay, terrific. I like the Ferris wheel. Thank you all so much for being here and for trusting this process with us, and really looking forward to next week. All right, have a great evening.
Thank you.